This is Julie Maxon, the Maine Stamper. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I live in Maine, USA. I've been working on that. So I'm adding a couple of sentences there to my introduction so that you're kind of maybe familiar with the fact that I do live in Maine when I say I'm the Maine Stamper, because the E obviously is kind of silent. So, okay, so I'm being really goofy. Hopefully you can see and hear me okay. We are here for Thursday at 3. So Thursday at 3 I come on and I share a fun fold. Usually my fun fold revolves around the bundle that I'm working on for the week. So I go live as well on a Monday, and on Monday I do a card class and I share 3 cards, and then you can get the kits in the mail. It's a whole great thing that I love to do, and I know that whoever's getting my kits, you guys are having a good time with them too. So thank you so much for your orders during the week using the host code to get the kits. Maybe the embellishment, definitely a celebration item. It is a good time to be ordering with Stampin' Up. So today's fun fold is, of course, fun. They're always fun, right? This is the Forever Love. This is the Forever Love Suite. We're working with a Lifetime of Love bundle. Now, this is the front of the card, which is, of course, it's really pretty, right? You can kind of maybe see there's a little bit of movement here as well. So the wow part is when you open the fold. I'm going to try to come this way. I think that will work better. So then you can see all the good things that come inside. And this is a really fun card to decorate the layers, right? And I didn't go crazy with layers. I feel like the inside is almost like a scrapbook tableau. Like you can add little papers with more little embellishments and what have you. It's a lot of fun. So this is why it is a fun fold, right? This is called the Lifetime of Love Pop-Out Window Fun Fold card. If you get my weekly newsletter, I email out the card recipes here on Thursdays. So I'm just checking to see if anybody's hanging out with me yet in here. Make sure you say hi as you jump on. I'd like to make sure that you can hear and see me okay, but we are going to transition over to my workspace and we're going to get working on the fun fold. Now, this fun fold right here, the Lifetime of Love pop-out window fun fold card, I'm going to show you from start to finish how we're going to score our paper. So I do have a full sheet here of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. And we have, of course, our finished card. So again, I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like flat as you open it. Now, I've modified the design here. So I've modified it to make it simpler. Now, it's not going to open flat when you open it this way, because of the way that I modified it. So if that bothers you, you're going to need to add 1/8 of an inch to each of your panels. Now, I prefer to work in full inches or at least 1/4 inches. So I kind of modified it. It does open, yes, but it does not go flat. So if you want some more modifications, you definitely can do that. I started out with one that I did maybe not quite so well. So this is my original. And I wasn't very happy with the way these circles lined up here. I used all of the current Stampin' Up! Circle punches on this card, and then when I went back through, I did add in a retired punch because I did want another layer in here. I wanted it to be a little bit fuller. So this card works if you're using any punches that have layering ability or any of the dies that you can layer and get onto this card base. You're just going to be able to add this piece here, your element, to the inside panel. So that's kind of something as well. And then again, when I was playing with it the first time, I incorrectly put my paper in here, so there's a seam. This seam is actually supposed to be hidden and on the inside here. So I'm going to show you what to do and then what not to do so that you can have better luck with your card as well. Hi Jess, thanks for joining me. It's the Jess and Julie show today. So we're hanging out together in the craft room talking about this fun and really pretty card, the Lifetime of Love. I've been using this and I have to apologize because I chose the Forever Love Suite. We're using paper from the Forever Love specialty paper. Your free embellishment this week is these pretty peacock and petal pink gems. Of course, I'm using the bundle. I'm using that as, again, today I'm just using the flower stamps off of the bundle and then one little stamp here as well. But these dies that are super popular are actually on back order right now. And I didn't realize as popular as they were, how popular they were, right? So hi Linda, thanks for popping on and saying hi. It's good to see you. So on our card class, I did use some of these different elements on Monday. This was the original card in Petal Pink. I did a color swap in Moody Mauve. So again, you're seeing the Moody Mauve, and that's because there's Moody Mauve paper in the paper pack here. So there's where we're getting all of our Moody Mauve from. I did this card, and we flipped the paper over so that you can see the back of the Designer Series paper on that one. This one is probably everyone's favorite. I really do enjoy that card too. So those are the cards we've been working on this week with a little bit of the color swap going on in there. And as mentioned, we're going to get into the nitty gritty. Now the printout here is designed to create an 8.5 by 11 card recipe for you. If your card recipe isn't printing on a full sheet of paper, check your printer settings, because if it's printing smaller, then your printer settings need to be set to print a full sheet. Those come out every Thursday. I'm going to keep those kind of close by because I do need to read them as we are tackling this full sheet here of Moody Mauve, beautiful color, paper. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to cut this in half, just like we're making a regular card base. So we're going to 5.5 inches and we're cutting in half. So we've got two of them that are exactly 5.5 inches. So one of these will be our card base. So I'm going to actually score my card base right now. I need to just flip my camera over just to make sure that yep. Okay. So when I score it right on my trimmer. I'm going to come over to 4 1/4 and actually just go just a tiny little bit over 4 1/4. And then I use my scoring blade here. That gives me a nice little, an easy fold, right? So I just fold it over and I hold the ends together, and then I'm going to bring in my bone folder here and just kind of burnish that crease. This is our card base. So it's your basic card base. It gives you a nice crisp center, which I love and I adore, right? So there's your card base. Now with the other half of cardstock that we just cut, this is where we're going to create all of this whole panel that we need to do. So the first thing we're going to do, and if you look at your card recipe, you're going to go, 5 and what? It's 5 and 15/16. 5 and I think I wrote that down wrong. It is not 5 and 15/16. It is supposed to be just under 5.5. So I did write that down wrong. I'm glad I'm talking to you right now. We're talking about this. So I really want you to go just under 5.5. You're just going to trim off a scotch of this, like a line or two under. Because what we want to do, I mean, and that's just the teeniest bit that's coming off, right? It's going to make it easier to get this in here if it's just a little bit shorter than the tallness of our card base. So you have a little bit of wiggle room. Now we do need to cut this at 6.5. And this is where we're going to be scoring it. So I'm going to cut it at 6.5. This is your throwaway piece. Well, I wouldn't throw that away. I would keep it. This is a throwaway piece. Let's go with that. Now we're going to do the scoring. So the scoring is very specific. So I've just cut it. I'm leaving it in the paper trimmer just like this. I'm going to move it over here to the right-hand side at the 1/2 inch mark. And I'm scoring a 1/2 inch just like that. So I have this is scored right here. So this piece right here is a 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to scooch down to the 4 inch mark and I'm scoring again. And I'm going to scooch down to the 2 inch mark and I'm scoring it again. Now I did it this way because I wanted panels that were 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. So we've got 2, 4, 6. So as I flip this together really quickly, I've got these 3 panels are all 2 inches, which is exactly what I want them to be. And it just makes it easier so that I didn't have to measure 2 1/8, 4 1/4, and then 6 and whatever that would be if you had 1/8 times 3. So there would be 3/8, right? So anyway, you get the idea that some of the fun folds can be a little bit out of control. So I like to make sure that I'm just using more whole numbers. So these are 2, 4, and 6, 2 inch panels all the way across. Your little 1/2 inch panel here is just on the end. So you've got that on the end, and that's going to all fold up inside here and create this panel right here as we put it down. Now the first thing we're going to do to get our hole in here, so we need to get a hole in here. We're going to use the 2 3/8 inch circle punch. This is the biggest punch Stampin' Up! Sells right now. This is the front of my card. I'm going to open it this way. I want the hole to be at the top this way, so I'm going to flip it this way. Bring this down. Now you all know, if you've worked with the punches, they only go down so far and then you can't go farther into the paper. I'm lining it up as far down as it will go and kind of side to side. and I'm just going to punch out my circle. So here it is just like that. So there's my circle punched out. Now before we get fancy with putting our panels in, I'm going to recommend that you actually add all your papers on, and I already have everything cut out for you to show you so that we don't have to dilly-dally too long. Now the front of the card base, really simple. I've got a piece of 4 1/4 by I think it's 2 1/2. So I'm just filling in the front of this card here. We can do that real quick, can't we? My glue wants to work. And we'll just put this on the bottom. And of course you can change up your colors, right? You can change up your designer paper, your themes, all the good stuff. This paper is really pretty, so I did want to have that come all the way across. And somewhere in here I should have a little piece of Very Vanilla. Now the colors that go with this designer series paper are Very Vanilla, so I don't have any white. These are all Very Vanilla pieces. And I'm just going to bridge the distance here between the designer series paper and my circle, leave a little bit of room. So just, you can kind of decide how much of your designer series paper you want to cover up. Depending on where it's cut, can kind of give you an indication of where it would look nicest. So that's the front of our card. We're all done with the front. That was easy, right? We're going to get to decorating this part right here next. And I'm just going to start by layering on my designer series papers. Hi, Karen's listening. Hi, Amy. Hi, Patty. And I just checked messages real quick. Okay, so designer series papers, obviously you can use whatever you want. I have 3, so I have 2 patterns that are the same, 1 that's different. So my different pattern, my single pattern, is going to go in the middle. Of course, you could do 3 entirely different patterns. You could put plain cardstock in the middle, and that could be where you're signing your card, because there's not a lot of room to sign on this one. We are going to create our spaces, right? So I did have, I have a small piece of vanilla that's going to go on one of my panels. You could definitely flip the card over and take advantage of the back and put a panel, a larger panel on there for your signature. But this is the fun part. Like, it's almost like, I want to say scrapbooking. I'm not a scrapbooker, but just being able to add all of these fun elements in here. So this is the little piece right here that I decided I would put into my card. So I could write on there. There's enough room to write on there. And I'm going to just put this in now, of course, without writing on it, but you get the idea. And then I think I'll add in the rest of the stuff later as we go. So let's talk a little bit about how we're going to get this piece into our card base. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to, as we look at this, so we've got our 2, 4, and 6 panels right here, and we've got this little flap. So this last panel right here is going to line up with the edge of our card base right here, where the back end where it opens, right? And then these are going to come down like this. So I just folded them over. So they're kind of in place right now. I'm going to close my circle this way. And we do need to kind of remove a little bit of this inside a 1/2 inch flap. So I'm just going to use a pencil here, and I'm going to mark right here on the inside where my circle is. And I do have in my directions, I do have some small, there's small pictures, but it kind of shows you, helps you to kind of remember what I'm talking about here. The video will be on YouTube later, so you can kind of rewatch this if you're like, I really want to make this card. This looks like fun. Now for here, I'm just going to use my snips. I'm going to come above the pencil lines because you want to cut more than the pencil lines. So I've cut a little bit above, so you can see that this flap is now loose. I'm going to glue this flap backwards. So I'm just going to put glue on the back and come backwards like this with it. And I'm just gluing this down. So we're not actually removing it, we're just gluing it backwards. This gives us a little notched piece that looks like this. Now when we put this into our card base, we'll be able to put this in, and then we won't see that flap that would have normally run right through here. So that's how we're going to fix that and kind of hide. We always hide things really well when we're doing these fun folds. So I'm putting adhesive on the back panel that's going to go back into my card base, and I'm going to glue this down right snug to the outer edge. So right flush with this edge right here is where you want this to be. Now when we cut that little tiny piece off of our 5.5 inch length, that helped us so we don't have to be as worried about lining it up top to bottom. It just makes it a little bit easier. So now if I fold this over this way, so this is in its closed position, we fold it back up. I'm going to add adhesive to my little flap pieces here. This is the 1/2 inch flap that we scored originally. So I've got adhesive there. And all I'm going to do is close this down, the card front. And we're going to just let that adhere here just for a second, right? We're going to let that kind of decide it's going to stick. And then when I open it, it's stuck in place and we don't have that seam. That seam isn't sticking out. So just like that, we have that beautifully done. Now we can go ahead and add together our little circles. And when we do the circles, I just have the, like I mentioned, the Very Vanilla at the back of it, the base of it is 2 1/4. That's a retired punch. The 2-inch punch is current. The 1 3/4 inch punch is current. I use the 2 3/8 inch punch to do the card front, right? So this is all going to fit in here. Basically, you need a piece that's going to nest and be able to open. When we put this in, we're only going to put the glue right here. We don't want to go all the way too close to the top, so you want to just keep it right there. We don't want to put any glue here, so don't glue the back of your circle. And then we're going to layer this in, centering it. And we're going to let that set there just for a second. So the glue is adhering right there to the inside panel. And that's going to give us that kind of motion that when we open it, so you can kind of see it lift here as you open it, it kind of pops that way. So it's glued there. I could have actually probably should have waited and put this white piece in, or vanilla piece in, a little bit later so it wasn't quite as tall. I did decorate these after the fact, but you get the idea. Now for these beautiful little flowers that I stamped and colored earlier, I stamped them in Memento, and they look like the most plain flowers. They really are almost kind of boring looking when you first see them from the stamp set. I stamped them in Memento. I colored them with, what colors did I use? Moody Mauve and Mossy Meadow. So just 4 simple, like 2 colors basically, right? And I got some really cute little, just really intricate looking flowers just out of that little bit of coloring. And I'm going to use a dimensional on the bigger one and pop that right here on the front of our card. So it's just really pretty and showy. And then on the inside, I have a couple of other leaves here that I die cut. I'm going to just put these in flat. So again, you can just kind of put these in here however you want. Just mind your seams, because as it folds, you don't want to have something that's going to kind of hit the next fold over. For the sentiment piece here, I did stamp the Love You that comes from the stamp set, and I stamped it in Moody Mauve. So very simple colors here. We have Moody Mauve, we have Mossy Meadow, like really simple. And then the vanilla and the gold. And I think that sometimes when we keep a simpler color palette, it just looks a little bit more elevated and elegant. So I'm going to just pop this on here. This Love You is from the double oval punch. I think I'm missing a little leaf, so I die cut the little leaves out, and basically I just add a little bit of adhesive and kind of tuck them in and around a little bit, so you can kind of get the idea. Actually, that should come up a little bit higher so that I can get this flower on here. So I just played with them really quickly to add in all my little elements. And of course you can do the same. There's another little leafy right here. Here's another one. So just the littlest thing, the decorating part is actually the most fun, because you get to go ahead and play with where you want things to be. You can decorate it. And then if you wanted to, you could add another panel on the back. You could definitely add more onto the inside of it. But there it is. So the hardest part really is making sure you're getting your folds done properly, trimming that 1/2 inch piece, and getting that all set. And it really has a really sweet stance when it stands up. It does look really awesome. And that is our fun fold for today. That one, phew, it worked. So that's perfect. I want to just show you that really quickly to see if that's something that you think is beautiful too. So obviously you can change up your colors, your papers. You can change up, instead of using the punches, you could change it up so that you're using dies. So any of your nesting dies would look fantastic. Hi, Sandra. The Moody Mauve and the flowers, they're very elegant and pretty. So I feel like that helps to make this card really over the top special. So I will check back through and make sure I've answered all of your questions if you have any. This one was a little bit trickier of a fun fold. Sometimes I'm on here with the simplest fun folds. This one, there was more scoring involved and a little bit more to it, but I hope that you can see that once you do all the steps a few times and repeat, it does become easier and easier. I think that's the secret to paper crafting, is you just have to keep practicing playing with paper. I can't tell you how much Moody Mauve I might have thrown out while I was trying to like get things to work and ripping that apart and putting it back together and starting over. But that's what paper is for, right? We have to play a little bit before you can get it all figured out. So thanks, Jess. I'm glad you loved it too. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out with me for a few minutes this afternoon for our Fun Fold card. I will see you on Monday for another card class. I will be live at 7 o'clock here on my Facebook page. And hey, everybody on YouTube, I appreciate you watching over there as well. All right, everybody, until next time, stay inspired, create something beautiful, and share the love. Bye.